If you watch this channel, you probably know that I like to write. During the process, I prefer to work on paper because I feel more free when I'm handwriting. Because I tend to write a lot, I prefer to have a journal that I enjoy to look at. So, if you stay tuned, I will show you how to turn this into this. Do this DIY. Number 1, you'll need a cutting board. Number 2, you'll need a ruler. Number 3, you'll need rubber cement. Number 4, you'll need a cutting tool. I prefer to use an X-Acto knife, but younger kids could use scissors to get the same effect. Number 5, you'll need a composition notebook. And number 6, you'll need paper to cover your composition notebook. When starting this DIY, you have to start with cutting the paper. So when doing this, it's very important to know the dimensions of your composition notebook. If you're using scissors as your cutting tool, you can trace these dimensions onto the paper and then cut. But if you're using an X-Acto knife, it's important to leave an extra bit of space and then trim it off later in the process for a cleaner look. For example, the dimensions of my composition notebook, excluding the binding on the side, are 6.5 and 9 3/4. So I cut a space of 7 by 10 inches, so I had a little bit on both sides to spare. To start off, I measure 10 inches in on the top and the bottom of the page so that I can create a line that's parallel to the place that I started. It's very important for this line to be parallel because if not, it may not cover the entire composition notebook. Proceed by doing the same thing, but with the other dimension. Here I am cutting the paper with my X-Acto knife. It's very important to not stray from the ruler if you want to create a straight line. Here I am cutting the other side. I apply the glue in 2 parts. During the first part, I apply the glue very close to the binding so I can make sure that the paper is perpendicular to the other side. But on the second part, I make sure that all the edges are covered with glue so that the paper doesn't start peeling prematurely. Here I am smoothing out the glue to make sure that there's no bubbles or wrinkles. Here's where leaving that extra bit of space comes into handy because now that I had extra space, I'm able to cut it off for a very clean look. The corners are a bit tricky, but it's important not to try to do it in one cut. And here's the end result of that side. Now on the other side, just repeat. Well, this concludes the video. I hope you enjoyed this DIY and found it helpful. Like, comment, and subscribe.